Siloam Springs police have a new piece of equipment that can identify drugs much faster than a lab.
Yeah, 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer learned all about the device and how police are now working with the state to try to curb the rising use of illegal substances.
It's a device called TruNarc. The Siloam Springs Police Department has been using it for the past few months now. It's all in an effort to help combat the rising drug use in the area and track drug trends in the state.
So if it turns red, then that means probable cause.
Deputy Chief Derek Spicer says there was a need as they see a high number of drug-related issues in the city.
Over the past several years, we've had thousands of narcotics arrests, thousands of calls that were dispatched to by PD and fire that came in as an overdose.
The technology can quickly detect a substance in 30 seconds to a few minutes instead of waiting what could be months.
This detects up to, it's like around 550 substances.
If it doesn't identify or it doesn't pop using a conventional drug testing kit, then it goes to the crime lab and it could be months before you get the results back.
It can also let a deputy know if the substance is laced and makes it safer to handle dangerous drugs.
With the outbreak of fentanyl and the dangers with fentanyl, being able to know what you're dealing with very quickly is extremely helpful.
They got the device thanks to a grant from the Arkansas Opioid Recovery Partnership.
When you're dealing with an overdose death or a dangerous substance or a poison, you want to know what that is immediately so you can protect the public.
Director Kirk Lane says they're trying to get these devices out to study data trends and see what new drugs come in. There's about 8 departments with TruNarc between Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley.
And now we know to where we can, in a timely fashion, put resources that are needed to protect people and keep people safe.
The deputy chief says he hopes it brings more accuracy and helps identify any threats the city faces.
Having that at your disposal is going to benefit the city and the officers immensely.
In Siloam Springs, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
We first told you about Tylor Shambles, a Gravette firefighter fighting for his life after a motorcycle accident last week. Well, now we're learning that he's woken up and he's on the road to recovery. His wife, Shelby, says he was taken off of a ventilator in the ICU about a week after he was admitted. He has injuries to his face and head, but no broken bones. Although he's been moved out of the ICU, he still has a long road ahead.
We've actually got someone flying out from Craig Rehab Facility in Denver, Colorado, and they are actually going to try and do an intake for him. That way he has rehab somewhere that can help with the trauma and the brain injury, because it could take 6 months to a year before everything's, as close to 100% as it gets after something like this.
The Shambles family says that they are incredibly grateful for all of the community support.
More than 40 human trafficking victims, all in the Fort Smith area, rescued tonight through a targeted Arkansas State Police operation. In Operation Voice, police got help from an undisclosed hotel to find and meet victims and then arrest any suspects. Well, they did arrest one person who they say was dropping off a victim. With the help of organizations from across the state, law enforcement provided resources to 12 adult victims and identified 32 others. Penny Burns is the CEO of the Fort Smith Crisis Intervention Center that actually helped provide resources to those victims.
This will lead to safer communities. If traffickers can't come in here and recruit people to be victims of trafficking, then those traffickers will leave this area. And the only way to get victims out of those situations is to provide them victim services.
State police say it's important to report any suspicions of human trafficking so they can investigate. They've also created a map of resources for victims that you can find on the state police website. Former teacher has been arrested for the second time this year. Robert Beard facing 25 new counts of sexually grooming a child. He was also arrested in late January by Springdale police after officers were notified that he had picked up a child from a school dance. After that arrest, other students reported that Beard had sent them sexually explicit videos and images. Beard worked as a computer science teacher at the Arkansas Arts Academy for 2 years till he was fired in July of last year.
A plan to roll back Arkansas's water fluoridation program hit some roadblocks today in the state capitol. Lawmakers debated it in a committee. Rebecca Brown shares how it went.
I would just like you to think about whether we should be mandating a drug to be put in our water supply when we can't regulate the dosage.
When you look at a simple glass of water or use toothpaste to brush your teeth, you might not realize the natural mineral fluoride is at work. Invisible to the eye, it's often credited with preventing tooth decay and boosting overall oral health. But for Republican State Senator Clint Penzo, fluoride tells a different story.
The people that put it in our water supply have to wear hazmat suits. It is a very dangerous chemical we're putting on our water supply.
On Wednesday, inside a Senate committee, numerous testimonies were heard on Senate Bill 2, which would remove fluoride completely from Arkansas water systems.
All we talk about are the benefits of fluoride and what it does with cavities. But we don't want to talk about the systemic effects of fluoride on the brain, on the joints, on the thyroid, on the kidneys.
Removing fluoride from water would have a negative impact for Arkansans' oral health. In fact, removing it from our water systems will burden those with lower incomes and pre-existing dental conditions.
After testimony, Senate Bill 2 failed inside the Senate Public Health, Welfare, and Labor Committee.
In favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
No.
Noes have it.
We caught up with Senator Penzo asking, despite Wednesday's outcome, what will be the future plans to attempt to change this decades-old law.
I've got a separate bill in state agencies that addresses more of an opt-out instead of just removing the mandate. It's got a higher probability of passing than this does.
In Little Rock, Rebecca Brown, 5 News.
Hawaii is the only state that bans fluoridation. Other states have introduced legislation similar to Senator Penzo's, but none of those bills have passed yet. State Senator Brian King filed 6 new bills addressing crime and incarceration rates in Arkansas. King spoke with the Board of Corrections and feels that they were responsive to his ideas, which he says are more fiscally responsible and will prevent the need for the 3,000-bed prison plan for Franklin County.
Mega prisons are mega financial disasters. So right now, before we do this is a great opportunity to get out there and visit with the people and get with their legislators and go down a plan that's fiscally responsible and actually going to reduce crime and reduce overcrowding and not trust the same people that promised you, lower crime and lower overcrowding when the reality was different.
King also plans to meet with Corrections Board officers soon and travel across Arkansas to rally support from residents all over.